Hi guys, welcome. For this class, I am inviting you to release your nature unconditionally. You might be wondering what that means. I'll be sharing an Osho quote with you as we begin practice today that should help illuminate this theme. But what it has to do is tapping into that sense of unconditional love for all beings, for all creatures, for all things. For this practice, you will want a block, so go ahead and grab that now. Other than that, all you'll need is your yoga mat, so go ahead, roll that out, and I will meet you coming onto your back with your block in hand for a supported fish pose. Okay, so we're gonna get started in a supported fish pose. It's a nice, gentle heart opener. And so you're going to bring your block and it's going to come underneath you. I'll turn around and show you. It'll come underneath your back, kind of underneath middle, upper back, this way, underneath you. So you can bring the block down onto your mat and then come to lie back on it, and you might need to move it around a little bit, decide on where feels best, and then the head will come down onto the mat. So you might bring the crown of the head down so you're looking back, finding more openness in the throat. If that feels uncomfortable, you can bring the back of the head onto the mat. If this feels like your head is too unsupported, you can bring a second block underneath your head, or maybe bringing a pillow or a cushion underneath your head. Either of those options are good ones to take here. You can keep the feet flat on your mat if you'd like, or you can extend them long, coming into this gentle heart opener, allowing the shoulders to kind of fall out to the sides. Arms are by the sides of the body. Go ahead and allow the eyes to close here for just a few moments. As you stay here in this fish pose, staying right where you are, I will read a quote from Osho. Love has to be just your flavor, your aroma, your fragrance. When you pass by a rose bush, the rose bush does not bother with whether it likes you or not. Its fragrance is available to you as much as to anybody else. Its fragrance is available to the birds, to the animals, to the trees, and unconditionally, without any expectation in return. Its fragrance is available even when there is nobody present to enjoy it or appreciate it. It simply goes on releasing its fragrance. It is its nature. So as you breathe here, gently opening into the heart space, I invite you to consider your nature. I invite you to embrace a nature of love and to consider whether you are releasing this nature unconditionally to all beings you encounter, or if maybe there are some conditions that you've set to releasing your nature. Taking just a couple more breaths right here. And then from here, you can roll slightly over to one side so you can move the block out from underneath you and come to lie on your back, hugging the knees in towards the chest, giving them a gentle squeeze here, maybe a gentle rock side to side. Coming into an easy twist here, so go ahead, take both knees and drop them over to the left, maybe shifting the hips over to the right a little bit. Trying to keep the right shoulder down on the mat, and then maybe bringing the gaze over the right shoulder if that feels okay on the neck. Lifting the legs back up to center, and then bringing them over to the other side, taking your twist on the other side, keeping the left shoulder on the earth this time, and maybe bringing the gaze over the left shoulder. Go ahead and lift the legs back up to center, hugging the knees in towards the chest, and then taking a few rolls on your back, forward and back, and making your way into hands and knees. Once you find your tabletop, shoulders over wrists, hips over knees. Take a few rounds of cat-cow. Inhaling to drop the belly, lifting the gaze and the tailbone. Exhaling to round the back. Inhale, lift the gaze and arch. And exhale, round. One more like this. Inhale. And exhale. Find a neutral spine. Go ahead and walk the hands forward about one hand's length. Tuck the toes under, lift knees and hips, finding downward facing dog. Taking any movement that feels good, any movement that speaks to your body today. And then finding some stillness here in your downward facing dog. Pressing firmly through all 5 finger pads. Pulling kneecaps up towards hip points, and the belly pulls up and in gently. On an inhale, go ahead, come forward into a plank pose. Shoulders over wrists. Belly pulling up and in. Take an inhale. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, plank pose. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, plank pose. And then from here, slowly lower yourself to the earth, maybe bringing the knees down first, and then slowly lowering the torso all the way down to the earth. From here, we'll take a few cobra waves. So you'll bring the hands out in line with the shoulders. Coming on to fingertips, so tenting the fingers, finding what I like to think of as cupcake hands. So if you imagine you've got a couple cupcakes underneath your hands, you don't want to squish them. Tops of the feet press down into the mat. Forehead is down. You're going to lead with the back of the neck, pulling the shoulder blades back towards each other. On your inhale, lifting the torso. And as you exhale, roll forward, coming back down. Inhale, lifting, finding that cobra spine. Exhale, roll back down. Inhale, lift. And exhale, come down. Taking 2 more like this. Inhaling. And exhaling down. 1 more. Inhale, lift. Opening the chest. Exhale, roll down. From here, bring hands underneath shoulders, tuck the toes under, and see if you can press yourself back up into a plank pose. So maybe you come up onto a plank on your knees, or maybe you keep the knees lifted, firm up the belly, and press up plank. And downward facing dog. From here, go ahead and walk the feet up to the hands. Finding a hip width distance in the feet, a bend in the knees, letting the torso and head hang heavy. Shaking the head out, yes and no. Finding a gentle rocking in the feet, so shifting the weight forward and back, side to side. Really letting the torso hang. From here, bend the knees really deeply so that the torso comes parallel with the earth. Bring the hands back behind you, clasp them together, pull the shoulder blades back towards each other, and then fold forward, dropping the crown of the head towards the earth once again. If this is unavailable to you right now, clasping the hands, feel free to bring a strap in between the hands and hold on to the strap as you fold forward, bringing more opening into the chest and the shoulders. Feel free to keep a bend in the knees as big or as small as you would like. Go ahead and release the hands to the earth. Inhale, hands to shins, lift halfway, lengthen the spine. And exhale, fold. Inhale, hands to shins, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Inhale, hands to shins, find length. Stay right here as you exhale, bringing hands to hips. And as you inhale, come up to stand with a flat back. Lovely. Find Tadasana, mountain pose. Big toes touching. Slight gap in between the heels. And we'll begin with Surya Namaskar C variation. So go ahead and hook the thumbs together in front of the body. Bring a gentle bend into the knees. And as you inhale, swoop the arms up high, finding a gentle back bend at the top, shining the heart up. As you exhale, bring that bend back into the knees, swoop the arms all the way behind you, clasp the hands as you fold. Taking an extra breath here. Go ahead and release the hands to the earth. Step the right foot way back, right knee to the earth. Keeping the hands down, simply open the chest forward, lifting the gaze. And then plant the hands flat on the earth and step the left foot back, downward facing dog. On your inhale, come forward into plank pose. And exhale, lower the knees, bend the elbows back, lower the chest and the chin. Inhale, slide forward, cobra pose, pull the shoulder blades back towards each other, and exhale, downward facing dog. Step the right foot up in between the hands, left knee comes down, open the chest forward, and then Step left foot up to meet the right and fold. Hook the thumbs in front of the body. Bring the gentle bend back into the knees. Inhale, swooping the arms up high, finding that back bend at the top. And exhale, swoop the arms back down. Clasp the hands behind you as you fold. Release hands to the earth. Step the left foot way back, left knee to the earth. Open the chest towards the front of your mat. And then planting the palms, stepping right foot back, downward facing dog. Inhale, come forward, plank pose. Exhale, lower knees, lower chest, lower chin. Inhale, cobra pose, pulling shoulder blades back. Exhale, downward facing dog. From here, begin to walk the hands back towards the feet. Make sure you've got big toes touching. Go ahead and bend the knees deeply, lifting the torso into Utkatasana, chair pose. Making sure that the weight is back in the heels, so you should be able to see your toes just past your knees when you look down in this pose. Chest is lifted. Take an inhale here, and as you exhale, you're going to fold over the legs, bringing the arm back over and behind you without clasping the hands. Inhale, Utkatasana, bend the knees deeply. Exhale, find that fold. Arms come around and back. Inhale, and exhale. Two more like this. Inhale, Utkatasana, get strong in the legs. Exhale, fold. One more. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold. This time, go ahead and clasp the hands as you fold forward. Taking an extra couple of breaths right here. Go ahead and release hands to the earth, and then walk them out, finding your downward facing dog. From here, step the right foot in between the hands, bringing the left knee onto the earth. Untuck the back toes when you're ready, lifting the torso for Anjaneyasana. Pulling pubic bone to navel, finding lift in this pose. Now from here, go ahead and bring the right hand down next to the right hip. Take an inhale to grow tall in the spine. And as you exhale, lean slightly over towards the right. If you have your block nearby, maybe you bring the block underneath the right hand. As you find length in the left side, you should feel this along the left side, along the left hip flexor. Take one more inhale. And exhale. Go ahead, inhale, lift the torso to center. Lower the left hand down next to the right foot and open the right arm up to the sky, coming into a twist. Notice if the left shoulder is scrunching way up by the ear, and press the earth away, pulling the shoulder blade down the back. Finding opening in the chest, spinning the chest towards the right leg. One more inhale here. Exhale, lower the right hand to the earth. Tuck the back toes under. Plant the palms and step the right foot back. Downward facing dog. Step the left foot in between the hands. Right knee to the earth, untucking the back toes. When you feel steady, lifting the torso for Anjaneyasana. Finding lift here, so notice if you start to dump down into the hips a lot, pulling pubic bone to navel, keeping the lower belly firming up and in, finding an upward lift in this pose. And then go ahead, lower left hand down next to left hip, maybe bringing your block over to the left side. Right arm extends next to the right ear. Take an inhale to grow tall. And as you exhale, lean towards the left, Maybe hand comes onto block, or you can simply let the hand hang next to you. Feeling for opening all along the right side. Take one more inhale. And exhale. Inhale, lift to center. Go ahead, lower the right hand down. Open the left arm to the sky, taking a twist. Again, noticing if you're collapsing into the right arm, the right shoulder, press the earth away, pull the shoulder blade back and down, spinning the chest open towards the left leg. One more, inhale. Exhale, lower left hand down, tucking back toes, lifting back knee, pressing the palms flat, and stepping the left foot back into downward facing dog. From here, go ahead and lower the knees onto the earth. And we're going to come into camel pose. We'll play with it 3 times, maybe going a little bit deeper each time. So if the knees are sensitive, you can fold over your mat to give you a bit more padding. If that is not enough, feel free to bring a blanket or a towel underneath the knees to help support them for your camel pose. So you'll come to stand up on the knees, and you want the knees directly underneath the hips. So if you locate the sort of bony protrusions that make up your hip points, you want the knees to be right underneath them. So the tendency is to open the knees out a little bit wider, and we want to align ourselves. We want to stack the bones so that the knees are right underneath the hips. So go ahead and find that alignment for yourself. And once you do, we're going to start with the toes tucked under. And from here, go ahead and pull pubic bone towards navel so that the lower belly is firming up and in. I like to bring the hands around the rib cage and inhale as I find lift. And moving the hands up, finding a little bit more lift and length. And then bringing the hands onto the low back as I continue to lift the chest up towards the sky. So imagine being able to press your heart up onto your ceiling or onto the sky. For this first one, we're going to stay right here, focusing on finding lift. So we want most of the bending to happen in the upper back as opposed to the lower back. So we'll focus on lifting up as opposed to leaning back. Go ahead, lift the torso to center, untuck the toes, take a seat on your heels. Take a moment, close the eyes, breathe. What is your nature? Do you release it? Do you share it unconditionally? It can be a tough thing to do. Coming into our second camel pose, go ahead and set yourself up. We'll take this one with the toes tucked under as well. And again, pubic bone pulls up to navel, nice strong core, finding lift in the ribs. It's like you're trying to really lift the ribs up away from the hips. And then hands onto the low back. This time finding a little bit more of that lean back, still focusing on lifting the chest up towards the sky. Now, if you're here, I'd like you to release a hand down, and if you feel the feet underneath you, then go ahead and release hands to feet. Make sure the hips are staying right above the knees. If you notice that the hips start to sway back, don't worry about the feet. Or if you notice that you're kind of searching for feet back here, don't worry about it. Keep hands on the low back. I guarantee you that the feet are still there. They will be there when we're done with this. And then to release, if you release the hands, bring them back onto the low back, lifting the torso, untucking the toes, taking a seat on the heels, and breathing. You might notice that the heart rate starts to rise with this pose. Coming into one last camel pose. Go ahead, lift onto the knees, set yourself up. This time, you decide if you would like to tuck the toes under or leave the tops of the feet flat on the earth. Up to you, depending on how those first two camels felt for you. Go ahead and set it up, pubic bone to navel, strong belly, hips right above the knees, finding lift in the chest, hands to the low back, continuing to lift. So you want to imagine pressing your heart all the way up. And then maybe finding that lean back as long as the hips stay above the knees. And again, if you reach back and you feel feet, then feel free to bring hands onto the feet. Don't worry about searching for them. And maybe you can drop the head all the way back if that feels okay on your neck. And then to release, hands come back to the low back as you lift the torso. Seat to feet. Breathe. And you can begin to shift side to side a little bit. Neutralizing into the low back. And from here, if you have rolled over your mat, you can unroll it. And we're going to very, very slowly lower the torso into a child's pose to counter all of the back bends. Camel is a very deep back bend, so we want to counter this very slowly, gently on the low back. So first, just bringing the hands onto the earth, finding length in the back, opening the chest forward. And then gradually walking the hands forward. Nice and slow as you bring the forehead all the way down onto your mat. From here, go ahead, lift the torso. You can shift the weight all the way, the hips all the way over to one side. As we start to make our way onto our backs, we'll take a moment to lift the legs up to the sky, bringing your block underneath your sacrum. So go ahead, lie all the way back, your block in hand. Go ahead and lift the hips up and slide the block just underneath the sacrum, bringing the hips back down. From here, you'll lift the legs straight up to the sky, coming into this passive restorative inversion, releasing into the low back as we reverse the blood flow in the legs. Go ahead and release the feet onto the earth. Lift the hips just enough to move the block out from under you. Extending the legs long, taking just a few moments And a very brief Shavasana here. Arms by the sides of the body, allowing the palms to face up. Go ahead and take a big breath in, filling up the belly. Open the mouth and let it go. And allow the breath to flow naturally in and out. Allowing the weight of your body to release into the earth. Start to bring a gentle wiggle to fingers and toes, bringing movement into the ankles and the wrists, extending the arms long overhead and taking a nice long stretch. Bring your feet flat onto your mat and roll onto the side of your choice. Using the hands to help press you up, make your way into a comfortable seat. Taking a moment to close down the eyes, turning the palms to face up. Love has to be just your flavor, your aroma, your fragrance. When you pass by a rose bush, the rose bush does not bother with whether it likes you or not. Its fragrance is available to you as much as to anybody else. Its fragrance is available to the birds, to the animals, to the trees, and unconditionally without any expectation in return. Fragrance is available even when there is nobody present to enjoy it or appreciate it. It simply goes on releasing its fragrance. It is its nature. Go ahead and take a big breath in through the nose. Open the mouth and let it go. Gently flutter the eyes open. Thank you so much for joining me today. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Namaste.